Part 75. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 744. With silver wavy hair reaching shoulder length, Zeppelin reached out and tucked the hair behind her ears, revealing her crystal earlobes and beautiful drop-shaped earrings. Wearing a long brown trench coat and white jeans, she was sitting on a stone pier by the grass with her legs crossed. At the same time, there were several little girls beside her. For example, U-81 holding a little wolf, U-47 with his hands in his jacket pockets, U-505 with diving goggles, Thatcher, Kotaku, Cushing, etc. Just like that, the prince and the princess lived happily together. Zeppelin finished telling the story, closed the thick fairy tale book with cartoon illustrations and placed it on his lap, showing a slight smile. When I came to the governor's house, I experienced a lot. Originally, he wanted to become an instructor, with a status comparable to that of an admiral or a secretary ship, or perhaps even higher. However, everyone does not need to be taught at all. They have already managed the garrison in an orderly manner, even worse than themselves. Especially since each of them is so powerful, the little girl has a higher level of training than him. After a series of setbacks, he is now a teacher responsible for educating the destroyer. U-81 was still unfinished. Zai shook his head and swayed his legs. Is the story over? It's over. That's it? It's over, Zeppelin said. You still want to wait until tomorrow. But there is no super expansion, no reversal. U-47 said, the prince is actually a big devil. He doesn't like the princess at all. Everything is a lie. Everything he does is to turn the entire kingdom into a place full of sulfur. Taste, a purgatory burning with raging flames. Otherwise, the evil queen is a good person, and everything is a conspiracy written and directed by the princess. Chi Bolin was in a daze, and Xiao Zai said, there is no great compassionate palm, no Pegasus meteor fist, no forbidden magic, extreme cold, undead natural disaster, and blazing flames burning the city. It doesn't sound good at all. It's better to tell the story told by the Admiral. U-47 was convinced that it was nothing, just a bullshit story. It was really confusing to children. All the little Lolita were talking about it, and Zeppelin was listening. She bared her teeth, and she seemed to know who the culprit was. She told people some weird stories all day long. I was fooled around before, but it has been so long. She used to be an academy instructor, so she was not a naturally stupid person. She also knew how to deal with these little guys. She snorted softly, if it doesn't sound good, don't listen to it. I want to listen. U-47 made a face as he put his thumbs on the temples on both sides of his head, opened his palms and grabbed them again. Zeppelin narrowed his eyes dangerously and saw that U-47 was still smiling playfully. Thinking that she needed to scare the monkeys, she immediately reached out and grabbed U-47, then picked him up and pressed him on her thigh. She raised her hand and slapped him hard on the butt. Honestly, it feels good in the hand. Then she looked around and threatened, who else? Everyone shook their heads. A good man would not suffer the loss in front of him. Submarines are quite difficult to deal with. Xiao Zai is a terrifying big devil. Although he is cute and small, he is extremely powerful. I heard that there was a Mutsu who suffered a big loss in the past, but now he is ridiculed every time. To themselves, and then to Missouri, many people suffered. Once Lafayette is injured, he concentrates on defense and can easily dodge any aerial attack. Even though everyone calls her the little princess of flopping, Utopia's dodge ability is outstanding. Trust Night Firefly's rocket headbutt, which most people can't stand, but no matter how powerful they are, even if they can't beat them, as long as they rely on their status as adults and teachers, they still dare to fight back. In fact, Zeppelin could feel it too. Even though everyone was very resistant to me at the beginning and found fault with me, everything has changed now. Not only respect from Z drivers, but everyone would occasionally give snacks to themselves. Although it is not needed, it is still a thoughtful gesture and represents recognition. I have accidentally heard it several times. In order to refute others, the little lowly said, whatever Teacher Zeppelin said, so be it. It made people feel relieved that one day they would do it themselves. Bang bang bang. After thinking a lot, Zeppelin patted U-47 several times before stopping. Despite being taught a lesson, U-47 still smiled and lay on Zeppelin's lap, aching. Call me teacher, Zeppelin said angrily, but he was actually very happy. Can Aki know how to turn the flower rope? No, Zeppelin shook his head, thinking that it was a game played by little girls, and he would be an adult as soon as he woke up. Shuttlecock kicking. Won't. Jump rope. Won't. Playing bridge. Zeppelin was stunned for a moment, feeling that something was wrong, and he didn't react for a while. What about robbing men? U-47 said, adults can do it? Zeppelin finally realized something was wrong, and she asked, what did you just say? U-47 shouted loudly, grab the man. His expression changed. Zeppelin raised his hand, spanked U-47 on the butt again, and said, robbing a man? I told you to grab a man. Robbing him. Do you still want to grab him? Zeppelin really pushed hard this time. U-47 touched his buttocks and shouted, hit someone if you don't agree with me. Young girls have been tortured. A certain admiral should really be punished. Zeppelin said, how old are you? After thinking about it, Zeppelin finally sighed. It might be difficult to sanction a certain admiral. Even if you usually teach yourself a lesson, you will immediately be surrounded by Lexington, Bismarck, Saratoga, Prince of Wales, etc. Each one seems to be a tiger that chooses people to eat, which is really stressful. You must admit when you have made a mistake, and you must stand upright when you are beaten. This is the right thing to do. However, one after another kept saying something like, even if the admiral is wrong, he is a grown man who wants to save face, so just say it, don't keep saying it. The admiral wants to help, and his intentions are good. It's okay if he makes a mistake. It doesn't matter. I'll leave the work to you, that's enough for us. We have nothing to do anyway, so we should do more. Don't tell him, we'll help him quietly please, he is a man and he should stand up and protect everyone. It is not you who protect him. Hold it in your hand for fear of falling, hold it in your mouth for fear of melting. Talk about CAO. CAO arrives. Zeppelin only saw one person walking over, holding a book in her hand. She sneered, "Het." After going to the classroom and seeing no one, Sugu found Chi Bolin looking at him strangely and unhappily. I'm a little confused. I haven't offended her recently. At this time, seeing the Admiral coming, U-47 shouted, "Admiral, help me, the old witch is beating me." Old witch, Zeppelin slapped U-47 again. She was still a young and invincible beautiful girl, after that, she was a mature and sexy mature woman. Although Zeppelin served as an instructor at the college for many years, he had many students and had great influence. If you want to know a certain admiral or a certain garrison, the Enterprise is a better choice than Zeppelin. Then again, it is not a matter of the county magistrate or the current management. The status of the Enterprise is higher than that of Zeppelin, and it is also very important. For a person who is popular and charming, many people will buy into her. However, this time was different. It was obviously more useful to know Chi Berlin, the leaders of various departments and units in Sichuan Show. Asking for help, Sugu said, U-47, it must be your fault, that's why Teacher Zeppelin beats you. Chi Bolin was a little satisfied with Sugu. U-47 was arrogant, she said, what a teacher, Aki doesn't know how to teach at all. Sugu asked back, you, Teacher Chi Bolin, were your admiral's instructor before. I can teach you, But you still can't teach me? Are you better than me? The admiral is the most powerful. While Sugu was happy, Chibolin was unhappy. U-47 added, she talks nonsense all day long, and her ears are about to get calluses. Sugu had known for a long time that Chibolin liked chicken soup for the soul. What I keep saying is that the fragrance of wine is not afraid of the depth of the alley, and my natural talents will be useful. He prefers negative energy and poisonous chicken soup. For example, stop losing weight. You are ugly not just because you are fat. Another example is that after working hard for so long, if you have some talent, you should have some signs of success. People with different Taoist views do not agree with each other, but people have to bow their heads under the eaves. Sugu said, young people don't read Water Margin, old people don't read Three Kingdoms. U-47, and you people, Xiaozai, Cushing, U-505, do you know? Your teacher Zeppelin doesn't just speak great truths. Just because you should not understand so much darkness at your age, you should listen to great truths and become sunny, cheerful, and healthy. When you mature and grow up, she will naturally not. She said she would teach you something else. She said all this for your own good. Sugu thought for a while and then said freely, you are really ignorant. You know how many teachers there are out there. They have no teacher ethics. They just deal with it all day long and don't care about anything. They follow the textbook in class and mislead the students. They also like to accept gifts. Even if the children are disobedient, they will be punched, kicked, or even injected with needles, given sleeping pills, and abused. Tell you, don't be naughty. Do you know how much your teacher Zeppelin has paid for you? Correcting homework and preparing lessons until late at night every day. No, you know how busy you are and how you can't get any rest. She doesn't just teach you how to deal with it, she also teaches you principles and how to be a human being. She is not only a teacher, but also a gardener, a candle, a loving mother, a spring silkworm, and a spring rain. Thatcher, don't sleep in class all day long. Lafayette, don't talk back in class. Firefly, don't pass small notes to Hickson. Sugu said, Z24, wake up, don't doze off. At this time, not far away, Sigsby looked at Sugu and others and chanted quickly, +1, +1, +1. Sullivan was confused and asked curiously, Sigbus, what did you say? Sigbys nodded thoughtfully, the Admiral is trying to build Zeppelin's favor again, and it will soon reach 100. Finally, Teacher Zeppelin is about to fall, and fall into the clutches of the Admiral. Sullivan didn't know what expression to show. Sugu rambled on, while Chibolin listened. She thought to herself, there were just a few little lowly girls, less than half of the class in an ordinary school. There are still several teachers, such as Helena, London, Tien Long Long Tien, etc., who are still busy. Correcting homework and preparing lessons will never go until late at night. After all, adequate sleep is too important for a woman. Finally, when he couldn't listen anymore, Zeppelin let go of U-47 and she coughed, it's almost done. I still have many shortcomings. Don't praise me so much. Suguyi said righteously, why are you exaggerating? I'm just seeking truth from facts. Zeppelin stretched out his hand and waved, okay, what do you want from me? Tell me. Sugu put the book in Chibolin's hand and explained it carefully. Daifeng Armored Aircraft Carrier. Zeppelin flipped through the book, are you sure? It hasn't been determined yet, Sugu said, I'm going to confirm it. One thing he was quite concerned about, Zeppelin said, how is her strength? Sugu thought for a while and realized that Daifeng had already reformed, it's probably at Shishin's level. Alas, Zeppelin became listless. Don't look like that, Sugu said. Then what expression should I use? Zeppelin raised his head. He was originally a college instructor, powerful and respected by others. From meeting Akage to joining the garrison, I felt like everyone was better than me, which was irritating. What's more, with someone to train with and teach every day, and super excellent carrier-based aircraft at all times, York City's improvement in a short period of time exceeded his own in many years. For example, CV-16 is even more talented, and the speed at which his training level improves is jaw-dropping. Already very familiar, Sugu said, laughing is enough at this time. I think it would be better if I beat you to death. Zeppelin geared up, it's so annoying. Zeppelin didn't need to say anything. He was not a shy person and was always rude. I often ask people to use the hero machine to practice, not to give up on myself. Needless to say, Sugu returned to the topic. We suspected that the author of this book was our companion. We gave it a rough thought in the morning, first found the publisher, found the editor, and then. Before Sugu could finish speaking, Chi Bolin put the book aside and waved her hand. I know what method to use. Seeing Sugu hesitate to speak, Zeppelin said, I have done this kind of thing a lot, just contact the Ministry of Culture. In short, just leave it alone. Don't you feel safe when I do my job? Don't worry. Sugu just felt a little weak. He obviously worked so hard, but in the end it was completely unnecessary. At this moment, Z-17 was hunched over on the grass, like a cheetah ready to go. When Lan approached, she quickly jumped up from the ground and jumped on the girl, and the two of them rolled on the grass. After a while, Lan touched his head and stood up, with an exaggerated expression. It's just playing games, Z-17, why are you so fierce? Don't make any noise. Zeppelin stood up. Sugu looked at Zeppelin's infinitely tempting back, and he remembered the first time he saw him. Holding a pointer suit, hip-hugging skirt, high heels, and flaming red lips, giving people a mature and sexy impression. Although she is not a super S-queen, in the minds of many college students, she is still a mad lady wearing fishnet stockings, high heels, holding a whip, and shouting slave, come and lick my feet. Countless people are ready to take action, but they dare not make too many moves. It's better now, she has become an old woman. Sure enough, time is like a butcher's knife, stabbing one after another. Anyway, it took a few days to get all the information about the publisher and the author. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 745. First of all, this is a side story and has nothing to do with the main story. Do not substitute it into the main text. Ziwikaku, also known as Deep Sea Ziwikaku, when she found Yamato, she saw him looking at the sea in the distance, like a wife waiting for her husband to return. Normally, he would have been able to laugh at her, but she was not in the mood at this time. Yamato Ziwikaku called. Although several days have passed, every minute and every second of the memory is sweet, and Yamato has a smile on his lips. Suddenly hearing a sound, she turned her head and saw Ziwikaku coming over anxiously. She stopped smiling. What happened? Supply-chan was attacked by the Admiral again? How many underwear were lost? It would be okay if it was just Supply-chan who was attacked and just took off her underwear. Ziwikaku said, Ryajo is gone. Ryajo, the brave man of the deep sea light aircraft carrier. Ryajo, everyone's good friend. Normally, he would visit the house full of energy every day to discuss how to eliminate the hateful Admiral. This time, he had not been seen for several days, which made people feel worried. Yamato frowned. Ryajo is the deep sea flagship. There is no chance of an accident. No one can hurt her. Yes, Ziwikaku's eyes flashed, there is a garrison that can harm her. We can't sit still and wait for death. Yamato's eyes became sharp and he declared, it's impossible. Taking a deep breath, Ziwikaku exploded in an instant, I'm serious, Yamato, you have become very strange. I discovered that since a long time ago, you have been maintaining that garrison and that admiral. They are ours enemies, sworn enemies. I usually tolerate it, but now it's no time. Ryajo has disappeared, but you are still like this. Yamato remained silent, not knowing how to answer her friend's question. Forget it, I'm leaving. Ziwakaku walked away, and the conversation ended unhappily. At noon, Ziwakaku sat on the rocks by the sea, with his legs hanging in the air, one hand on his chest, and the other on his chin. I thought, it was getting weirder and weirder. It was obviously a deep-sea flagship that brought terror and disaster, but now it was like a young girl in love. It seemed that Yamato couldn't count on it. In this case, I can only find Ryajo alone. No matter how you think about it, that garrison is the key point. However, it is obviously unwise to attack the garrison rashly, and there is no possibility of winning. There are too many ship girls, and all of them are too powerful. It was so difficult. Ziwakaku slept on the rocks, looking up at the blue sky. Just a moment later, a word appeared and crept into her mind. Make a little disguise, or go in the dark, take advantage of the night, and then sneak into the guardhouse to investigate. If Ryajo is not there, then you can only look elsewhere, which is the best of misfortunes. If Ryajo is here, bring him back no matter what. There are several ways to sneak in. 1. Destroy everyone who sees you. 2. Kill everyone you see. Think about it, you can't do the above at all. Even if you are a deep-sea flagship, you are still capable. Well, there is only the third method to choose, which is to sneak in quietly and not let anyone discover you. After all the planning, Ziwakaku clenched his fists and secretly made up his mind. In the dark night, the only sound is the sound of waves and the chirping of insects. The town hall was brightly lit, and Ziwakaku quietly sailed to the shore, avoiding the rotating spotlights of the lighthouse. It's still early, not a good time to sneak in. Naturally, I came here so early to do some reconnaissance first. I saw many little Lolita running around on the pier, having fun. These people can be easily eliminated on their own, as long as there is no small house, as long as there is no Veneto. It is a bit difficult to dream, let alone law fight. Speaking of which, there is no way to fly carrier-based aircraft at night. Sure enough, let it go. It would be better to spare their lives and avoid alerting the enemy. There was actually a bonfire on the beach by the sea, and a group of people were enjoying a barbecue dinner, drinking cola, eating barbecue, chatting, singing, and dancing. Hey, it's just too much. How can I enjoy it that much? I really wanted to go on a killing spree, but those people recognized me, so I let it go. There seemed to be a person inside who looked like Ryajo, but it was so far away that I couldn't see clearly. Don't be in a hurry, take your time. Ziwakaku swallowed, carefully retreated, and disappeared into the darkness, which was the best cover. After waiting quietly, the barbecue dinner was finally over and everyone left. Continuing to wait, Ziwakaku watched the lights in the dormitory building go out little by little. She showed a smile, and she was about to take action. You can do it, no one can stop you. Ziwakaku encouraged himself and lifted up his long hair. After walking up the long stairs, the iron door of the governor's mansion was not locked at all. I pushed it open gently and successfully entered. First, we need to find the prison. Unfortunately, after walking around, we only saw the lighthouse, garage, and warehouse, but not the prison. Yes, no admiral has ever been able to imprison a deep-sea ship girl. After all, everyone would rather break than bend. Could it be that Ryajo has been killed? No, I don't have that heartbreaking feeling of losing a close friend yet. After walking around and around, Ziwakaku made no progress and found no clues. After a long time, she thought that there was only one way, and that was to find the admiral of this garrison and torture him again. Looking left and right, looking back 3 times, Ziwakaku entered the dormitory building without being discovered. Climbing up the stairs, she encountered another problem. Where was the admiral's room? After being silent for a long time, Ziwikaku shook his head and thought of something. Ziwihi, a famous lucky ship in history. So she closed her eyes and began to move forward slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 90. My eyes suddenly opened, and here it was. Standing in front of a room, Ziwikaku raised his hand and twisted the door handle, pushed the door open and walked in. Through the faint moonlight, she saw a man sleeping on the bed. Tiptoeing to the bed, Ziwikaku chuckled, thinking that it was a smooth journey. Who? Ziwikaku was suddenly startled. She saw the man on the bed opening his eyes and then closing them. Pachina, it's great that you are here. I have always missed you. Your beautiful silver hair is like the bright moonlight. Pachina. Fortress G? What happened? Before Ziwikaku could react, she found a pair of hands clamping her wrists, and then pulled her hard onto the bed. After a moment, she felt a pair of hands hugging her tightly. This was the first time in her history that she was hugged by a man. Frightened, shy, and angry, before Ziwikaku could unleash the power of a deep-sea flagship and subdue a rude man, she only heard a creaking sound in the room. Ziwikaku, I'm sorry, I followed you, you can't hurt him. Ziwikaku turned around and saw Yamato standing there, as if he found himself being hugged tightly, and the expression on his face changed from determination to shock. You actually. Listen to my explanation, Ziwikaku shouted. Many people were sitting in the dark room. Two sneaky cats, are they done yet? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De-Rong Yan. Chapter 746. The railway siren echoed in the air. Sugu stood by the railway and watched the warning pole slowly lowered. Some people stopped, and some people ran across the railway line before the warning pole was lowered. Sugu saw someone riding a bicycle and stopped beside him. He suddenly remembered that when he was in junior high school in the local county town, he had to pass a railway to go to school, so he often encountered this kind of thing, and suddenly he felt like he was in another world. Standing next to him, she had smooth blonde hair hanging behind her back, a flower on her forehead, and red-rimmed eyes. Wearing a thin gray windbreaker, a thin sweater and jeans outlines her slim and tall figure. Holding two cats in his arms, the beautiful hood has always been the target of passers-by's scrutiny. After all, she is a beautiful woman. The train passed by with a clang sound, the siren stopped, the warning pole was raised, and pedestrians continued to move forward. Hood saw Sugu standing there. Admiral, what's wrong with you? It's okay, Sugu reacted in an instant. If Lexington could definitely tell that something was wrong with him, Hood didn't have such a big idea. She said, I counted, 12 knots. Sugu laughed dumbly. Hudijiang, are you still a child? I know Xiaozai. Every time she sees a train, she counts how many carriages there are. It's just boring. Hood-chan, Samao-chan wearing a short skirt, Ziwihi put his hands into the pockets of his blue sweatshirt. What she meant was that she could even stuff a cat, she was just a child. Hood puffed up her face, her dignity and elegance were superficial, and anything could easily destroy her. She yelled, Ruhi, you're the one who stuffed the cat. Why are you smiling? You're also flat-chested. I'm flat-chested. Ruhi slightly unzipped his sweatshirt, revealing the t-shirt underneath. Give me the ginger, I'm stuffing the cat. It must be admitted that one fat person hides all ugliness, and the fat orange cat Ginger is more popular. But Huda was unwilling. She couldn't bear to part with it. I can't live without ginger and fish cakes. This is not an era of advanced information, although there are telegraphs and telephones. It just has to be wired, and except for a few places, the general public cannot afford it. Without computers or the internet, it was not easy to get to know someone. Ask Zeppelin to gather intelligence, though, there wasn't much. Apart from word of mouth that the author is a talented girl, there is not much information. How old are you? How do you look, oval face or oval face? Plump or slim? Or where is your home address? Don't know anything. But I didn't expect too much, it was enough to know the location of the publishing house. Then, several days after receiving the information, everyone took a boat to the destination city. In order to find Dai Feng, it was natural for Ziwei to be by his side. As for Hood, she has no connection with Dai Feng, and it's not like she is a maid with reputation and counterattack, and is good at taking care of people. She is here for many reasons. Originally, many people wanted to come together, mainly Saratoga. However, her sister directly vetoed her opinion. In private, she usually stayed by the admiral's side for so long to give others a chance. Hood raised her hand. She said she wanted to see what those publishing houses were like and was very curious. Of course, the real purpose is self-evident. Of course, many people have raised objections. Hood, you can't do it? Your luck is too bad. It would be bad if the admiral was unlucky with you. Stealing, robbery, car accidents, shipwrecks, the end of the world. I'm not Swafeng. I wish my family and my family are safe, Huda said. Fortunately, Swafeng wasn't around, otherwise he would have been disappointed. Hood, you, a rich young lady, don't know how to take care of people at all. The admiral will take care of people, he will take care of himself, and he will take care of me. Hood's words made people confused for a moment. How about reputation or counterattack? All in all, although the Japanese had the right time and location, they could not stop the British because they had more people and strength. And there aren't many powerful characters compared to the Japanese. The Prince of Wales and his reputation are full of fighting power. After a dispute, Hood finally got a chance. Richelieu, who had been sitting in the corner, staring at Hood intently, few people paid attention to her. The reason why Xianghe is not with her is that without her sister by her side, she will rely more on the admiral. I walked across the railroad, walked through the streets, and stood at the crossroads. Originally asking passers-by, Sugu muttered, it should be on the left. Unlike her elder sister Xianghe, who was completely crazy about the road and could even get lost in the garrison, Ruhi had a pretty good sense of direction. She looked around and patted Sugu on the shoulder, this way, Myopa Road. Of course, cities with publishing houses are not small counties. This is a pretty big city, so you can easily get around by taxi. But it's still early now, and even if I went there early, I don't know if the publishing house's employees have gone to work. In fact, there were also main reasons. Hood was holding ginger and fish cakes, while Ruhi looked around and suggested with bright eyes, let's walk. Sugu knew what they were thinking just by looking at them, so he agreed with this opinion. After walking for a while, Sugu bought breakfast at a roadside store. Sugu handed it to Huda and saw the girl holding two cats in a hurry. Passing it to Ruhi again, he said, it's almost there, it would be great if it really is Tai Feng. Ruhi said, so many familiar stories can't all be coincidences. It must be her. I hope so, Sugu said. Ruhi tilted her head, and she looked at someone who shouldn't be here, a little dissatisfied, so she said, remember that Hood is also a literary girl, doing nothing in the town hall all day long, except for afternoon tea. I heard he said that Bazai had many works published in the past, and Leipzig worked as an assistant to sell them at comic exhibitions. Have you never thought about writing a book and publishing it? At this time, Sugu was happy, and he said without hesitation, Ruhi, you don't understand. Hood's writing skills are not bad at all, and he is very good at writing essays and prose. This is the first time I have seen, I almost thought I was betrayed. But it doesn't matter, it's just two girls, I don't think it's betrayal. I only read it. I don't like the writing. The Admiral is good at writing novels, Hood snorted. A little afraid of the expressionless Prince of Wales, but Hood-chan doesn't matter, Sugu said. Ruhi, let me tell you, even though he usually acts annoying, Hood actually likes Bismarck very much. After hearing Sugu read a few words from his essay, Hood shouted, hate it, I hate Bismarck to death, that thief cat. Forget it, Admiral, forget it. Sugu said, my memory has always been very good, there is nothing I can do about it. Oh, Hood, you still have this side, Ruhi teased. They were all sisters, and she knew that Hood did not really hate Bismarck, but she did not expect that there were so many inside stories, and her spirit of gossip burned brightly. Hood held his head and stamped his feet. She peeked at Sugu and suddenly thought, there is nothing that can't be solved with one sap. If there is, then two. Suddenly aware of the danger, Sugu said, Hood, don't look at me anymore. Hood wrinkled his nose and stroked the fish cake. Arriving in front of a building, walking up the stairs to the third floor, the publishing house arrived quickly. There is no front desk, and it is not as big as our company, Hood said. Although there is no front desk, there is no doorman either, so that's okay, Sugu thought for a while. Huda, your company wouldn't have relied on its reputation as a manager, otherwise it would have gone bankrupt long ago. Huda said, without me, there would be no reputation. It is still my contribution. Usually he likes to contradict Sugu, so Ruhi said, Hood-chan, you are a bit shameless. Walking inside the corridor. He didn't come to the door because of business, but just to find someone. To be honest, Sugu felt a little guilty. But for the sake of his companions, it was just a small matter. He found someone and took out the book he had prepared. Hello, I would like to find the editor of this book. If you want to find the editor, go forward to the big office on the left. It's a pity that the man didn't know. Walking into the big office, Sugu found another young woman who seemed easy to talk to. Hello, I would like to find the editor of this book. Although he is not very handsome, Sugu definitely has nothing to do with being vulgar. Since becoming an admiral, he has experienced a lot and has become more temperamental. He looks sincere and does not look like a bad person. Hood and Ziwihi are even more beautiful, making people fall in love with them at first sight. Anyway, it didn't take much time and everyone quickly found the editor. A lady with short hair and a very capable look. What do you want from me? We would like to ask for the address of this author. Get straight to the point. Sugu immediately saw editor Yuji staring at him, and a moment later he encountered rejection. But think about it, as an editor, how could you casually reveal the author's home address when faced with a stranger of unknown origin? After hesitating, he looked around. There were not many people around. He explained, we are familiar with the story written by this author, and we can find the prototype. It just so happens that we have a companion outside, and we can't contact her now, and the writing style is similar. So, we doubt whether this author is our companion. Ruhi couldn't wait to say, I heard that the author is a talented girl, and so is our companion. She has red hair, likes to tie it into twin tails, and her breasts are quite big. She is a bit arrogant, a bit weak, and doesn't like to quarrel. She is a foodie. My favorite is tamagoyaki. No matter what I do, I'm super unlucky. Unless I'm 100%, I'll never win the lottery. Huda felt sad, and so did she. She had such bad luck. At the same time, after hearing this, editor Yuji's face became much less vigilant, and she asked, how can you be sure that we have the author's address? Sugu thought to himself that there is no online banking here, and all he needs is an account to transfer money. He said, if she is not in the city and usually mails manuscripts to you, she must have an address. Otherwise, How will you send the manuscript fees there? It can't be free. If she lives in the city, you should have been to her home. Why do you have to go there? Is there an author who doesn't delay writing? Sugu said, as long as you know the author's address, you can come directly to the door to urge the manuscript. If you don't finish writing, you won't be allowed to go out, and you won't be given meals. I didn't write it as a serial. That's true. Sugu tapped the cover of the novel. So, can you give us her address? It still doesn't work. Editor Yuji thought for a while. Don't blame me. Genius beautiful girl writers usually have many crazy readers and many crazy suitors. I can help you. Ask, do you have anything you want me to tell you? Ruhi was dissatisfied, so Sugu took out a photo of himself. Give this to her and say, I'm back. Editor Yuji chuckled lightly. You guys come here in a few days. I can't guarantee whether she will see you or not. Anyway, she will definitely bring her words. This city is right on the seaside, so it is impossible not to know about the admiral and the ship girl. Sugu said, if I am the admiral and they are the ship girl, can you tell us directly? Editor Yuja became excited in an instant. I told you, they are so beautiful, they must not be ordinary people. Then, you are an admiral and a ship girl, so she is also a ship girl? No wonder. Sugu said, it's okay now. The ship girl was born from the history of steel and beautiful memories. She must be a good person and will not lie to others. But I remember that the ship girl will not leave the admiral's side. Because of a little accident. It's really not like how did you know that I was a ship girl, and then you planned to salvage the ship? No. Editor Yuji snorted, your admirals have done so many crazy things to salvage ships, they are even more nutritious than candies. What's the meaning of cabbing a ship is not harassment? A ship girl cannot live without an admiral cabbing a ship. Liar? As long as she joins the garrison, she will be happy as long as the result is good. The process does not need to be so glorious. If she is really a ship girl, I can't cause trouble to others. Sugu held his forehead, as if the admiral fishing for a boat was really like this. No matter what you do, first deceive the ship girl to the garrison, especially those little lowly destroyers. Although the ship girl is very sensitive, it is difficult to say whether this kind of deception is good or malicious. It was so embarrassing to not be in a hurry for 2 days, so Sugu didn't say anything more and just left the publishing house. You're too careful. Ruhi was still dissatisfied. Just make sure it's Daifeng. Sugu lowered his head. Daifeng, big mackerel, and archer fish should be there too, ha ha ha. Ruhi poked Sugu's waist with his finger. Lolakan. No, girlie. From the moment she entered the publishing house, Huda looked around, but couldn't see anything interesting. It was just the same thing. She asked, Admiral, come back in 2 days. Yes. Hud looked at the sky, then at the ground, and hesitated. I heard that there is a silver beach in the next county. Let's go and have a look. I want to see it too. Ruhi agreed. Sugu suddenly said, why do I have a feeling that none of us really want to find Daifeng? Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 747. Starting from waking up in the morning, getting out of bed, until having breakfast. Even though I have looked in the mirror and know how I look. Her long red hair was still not combed properly, and was tied into twin tails, as messy as a chicken coop. Although I brushed my teeth and washed my face properly, it was just a matter of habit. She was still wearing cotton pajamas and slippers on her feet. She didn't have to go to work anyway and was too lazy to go out, so that was almost enough. After seeing everyone off, Daifeng stood at the entrance and closed the door. He grabbed his hair and was reluctant to raise his feet any higher. Like a lazy woman, Daifeng returned to his room, then sat at the desk and took a pen from the pen holder. She looked at the overlapping mountains, walked into the primeval forest, and the autumn colors of the deep valley came into her eyes. I usually like to write something and submit it on a whim. Unexpectedly, he actually passed the exam and received royalties. Becoming a writer was something that Daifeng himself had never imagined. I can't say that he was a writer. He just wrote some novels, so he couldn't be considered a real person. It is not an essay that satirizes the darkness of society. There are no impassioned words, there are only idle moans, only love and affection. In her mind, he is just a little writer. Of course, everyone usually calls me teacher, great writer, or talented girl writer, so I still like her very much. Going down the mountain along the valley of Nanchinj, passing by the village called Sakiao, she stood at the foot of the mountain. Daifeng writes very fast, not because he has read tens of thousands of books and writes like a master. The main reason is that she is rushing to write, so she writes whatever comes to her mind instead of chewing words slowly. It's not a serialization, so there's actually no need to rush. However, I have promised the editor that the new book will be handed in at the end of the month. To be honest, there are quite a few reasons. I didn't know how to cherish the royalties I received. I ate every day and played around. I didn't have much money anymore. There is no other way, we must work hard. The cedar trees were as tall as a canopy. With her hands on the rocks behind her, she leaned back and looked at the treetops. The dark green leaves covered the sky, and the surroundings seemed deep and quiet. After finishing writing a page quickly, Daifeng leaned on the back of the chair, stretched his body with the fingers of his hands clasped behind his back. Then she glanced at the alarm clock placed next to the big desk lamp, and thought to herself, just a little time had passed, and she had already written so many words. She really admired herself. In this case, you must give yourself a good reward, combining work and rest. Thinking of this, Daifeng immediately left the room and entered the kitchen. After rummaging through boxes and cabinets for a while, I found a lot of yokon and mochi and put them in a candy dish. She re-entered the room, returned to the desk and put down the candy dish. Write a line and eat a bite of yokon. Write another line and eat a bite of mochi. Food residue fell on the manuscript and I couldn't continue writing, so I blew it off in one breath. After a pause, he couldn't be half-hearted. The snacks are really delicious, so I'll write them after I finish them, so I don't have to worry about a little time. Chewing, Daifeng's cheeks puffed up cutely. Chewing, a little bored, she suddenly remembered that she went to the city yesterday and bought several magazines. I picked up a magazine and looked at the cover first. Top 10 Trends. The easiest way to be fashionable in autumn and winter. Without exposing your ankles, these 5 options will help you look slimmer and keep warm. From the big screen to the small screen, their acting skills have always shown. I'm really unhappy, I didn't pay attention, I bought an out-of-season magazine, and it's not winter anymore. Opening another page at random, I saw a beautiful woman wearing a gorgeous red dress, standing with a wine glass on her hips. I don't know if she is a ship girl, but she is pretty and elegant. As long as the new book is finished and the royalties are paid, wearing a dress like this is no big deal. I just don't know how I would look in a dress like that, whether it would look beautiful. Think about it, the dress is too much of a test on your figure. My figure is not quite there yet, and it's not very plump, so it probably doesn't look good. The boss is unhappy, it would be better not to read this book. I bought another magazine. This one is much more interesting and introduces a lot of delicious food. But before reading a few pages, Daifeng found that he had already finished all the snacks. Sitting on the chair with her legs curled up, she looked at the bright sky outside the window, shook her head, and then ran to the kitchen to get several pears, a large glass of milk, and some snacks. She's a ship girl anyway, so she doesn't have to worry about gaining weight. Even Akage didn't gain weight even though she ate like that before. It's just a small matter for me. But after finishing this, I have to start writing, and I can't put it off any longer. Soon after, Daifeng finally finished eating. She still didn't pick up the pen because she saw another book, which was a masterpiece by the author he admired. Although many readers wrote in and said that the writing was very good, in fact, when I first started writing, I was imitating other people's styles, although now I have gradually developed my own style. Just read one chapter, Daifeng thought, don't forget the beautiful words, which have been too white recently. After reading one chapter quickly, she felt that she was still a little behind, so she read another chapter. I've seen it before, and I still can't put it down. Gritting my teeth, it was still heart-wrenching to see the hero lose his memory. Then watch it again and stop after the hero recovers. Well, here it is, full of sorrow and anxiety. The heroine was admitted to the hospital due to a car accident. After finally recovering, she actually got cancer again. The father, who has always opposed the union of male and female protagonists, finally told the truth and revealed an unbearable past. After watching it for a while, Daifeng took the time to glance at the alarm clock. I thought, no, I really can't, I have to start writing, otherwise I really won't be able to complete my daily tasks. Speaking of which, it's 24 minutes now, so let's wait until 10:30. Put down the book on time and start writing on time. It was so maddening that by the time I realized what was happening, it was already past 10:30, so it would be better to wait until 11 o'clock. You must remember this time, and you must not delay it any longer. Until 1 o'clock passed, Daifeng put down the book. Because it's almost noon, my stomach starts growling and it's time to have lunch. Lunchboxes were prepared in the morning, one for each person. Daifeng found the food box and couldn't wait to open it. The aroma filled the air instantly. I'm gonna start now. Putting her hands together and placing the chopsticks in the tiger's mouth, Daifeng said something, and she first picked up a piece of fried shrimp tempura and put it into her mouth. Ouch, she covered her mouth, thinking it was so delicious. Next is tamagoyaki, a delicacy that I have always loved. Soft and juicy, every bite is full of filling. The fried pork cutlet was also great, and even better with a little sauce. The sushi is not so good, although it is delicious. After eating and drinking enough, Daifeng rubbed his belly contentedly, thinking that he would have sari and beef curry tonight, something he hadn't eaten in several days. Now that she was ready to take action, she was just waiting for her to take a look at the manuscript, and an idea came to her mind. It's better to wait before writing and get some sleep first. As the weather gets warmer, people will feel sleepy, tired, and drowsy. This is spring sleepiness. Anyway, I can't write a few words in this little time. Wouldn't it be nice to take a nap to regain my energy and fight again in the afternoon, getting twice the result with half the effort? With a little effort, a day's tasks can be accomplished easily. That's it. After reading the magazine for a while, Daifeng climbed onto the bed and had a good sleep, but he had no good dreams. When she woke up, she didn't know what time it was. Even though it was spring, she was still a little cold and didn't want to get out of the quilt at all. Then just sleep for a while and you'll be fine. And it's really nice to curl up under the quilt and read a pocket book. As the door creaked, Daifeng finally got up and walked to the living room to see the archerfish and the big mackerel coming back from school. The place where I live is not far from the school. It seems that it is just after 4 o'clock. You guys are back, Daifeng said. Back, big mackerel greeted, silly monkey. Daifeng or Teho would also work. However, some unscrupulous organizations wrote Teho as Dehao, so he got the nickname Silly Monkey, which is something that all Tehoha hate. Gearing up, Daifeng shouted, Big mackerel, don't call me a stupid monkey, or don't blame me for being rude. The big mackerel admitted his mistake honestly, okay, silly monkey. Daifeng said carefully, I told you, don't call me a stupid monkey. I know, stupid monkey. The big mackerel looked sincere. Daifeng showed his teeth and claws, but he didn't dare to do anything. He had no choice but to be afraid of the big mackerel. Seeing Dafeng going crazy, the archer fish said, "Sister Dafeng, Sister Big Mackerel did it on purpose." I know Dafeng looked downcast. However, the archer fish was much more well behaved. She said, "Sister, stop teasing Sister Dafeng." Nodding her lips, the big mackerel smiled and said to Dafeng, "Sister Dafeng, the big mackerel belongs to the small shark class submarine." In the past, the archerfish was also classified as the small shark class and is the sister of the big mackerel. Of course, from a physical point of view, archerfish has no problem being a sister. In fact, strictly speaking, the archerfish belongs to the whitefish class submarine, which is an improved version of the little shark class, although there is no essential difference in design. In addition, due to the emergence of surgeonfish in recent years, the levels of archerfish and archerfish were eventually changed to whitefish levels. Despite this, feelings are the most important thing, which does not prevent the archerfish from treating the big mackerel as its biological sister. Putting down the small skull bag on the sofa, the big mackerel said, "Sister Dafeng, you have to pay your shift fee tomorrow." Okay, Dafeng nodded, the money was just a small thing. The big mackerel said casually, "There is a transfer student in our class this semester." Dafeng was a little sensitive when reading and writing books. She asked excitedly, "Is it a very handsome boy or a very cute girl?" "Very common," the big mackerel replied. "Maybe it looks ordinary, but in fact it is very extraordinary." Dafeng tilted his head slightly, raised a finger and shook it. "The results look average, but every subject is just passed, not a point more, not a point less. Less. Deliberately obtained test results, hidden genius. The clothes look ordinary, but in fact they are all hand-sewn. In fact, they are the young masters of a large group incognito. It seems that they have no power to restrain a chicken, whether it is karate, taekwondo, or judo. One is not proficient. Otherwise, the hero chooses to return to ordinary life in order to forget the sad past." "Stupid monkey, you are sick again, this is not a novel." The big mackerel couldn't help it. She thought for a while, "Because my father was transferred to the city, he transferred to another school together. He is relatively short, so he sat in the third one row, under the podium. Although he introduced himself well, I can't remember his name now. Look carefully, he has a little buck teeth and a lot of pock marks on his face. His ideal is to be a scientist or a general. I think he thinks too much." When the archer fish saw Dafeng in high spirits, she curiously asked, "Sister Dafeng, have you completed your task today?" Dafengtian paused for a moment. Even though he only wrote one page, Dafengtian said shamelessly, "Thank you for your hard work. Now that I've finished writing." The big mackerel stretched out his hand to pull Dafeng's clothes. "Let's play Ludo." After thinking about it, chatting and playing games are more important. At worst, I will write it at night, or else I will write it tomorrow. Anyway, I just need to write a few more words every day in the next few days, and there will be no problem at all." Dafeng said, "Okay." The big mackerel brought the chess piece, and she looked to the side. "Do you want to play with the archer fish?" "All right." The game of flying chess was finished. Even though Dafeng rolled the dice, there was no 6. The second set had just started when the doorbell suddenly rang. Who dared to instruct two people? Dafeng took the initiative to run to the entrance. Looking out through the peephole, she saw her editor standing outside, and her heart skipped a beat. "I'm not here to push for manuscripts, but definitely to inquire about the progress. So, if I only wrote a little bit, how can I get over it?" Kevin. "Yes, that's the reason. Writing a book is never that simple. It's easy to get exhausted and sit in front of the desk for hours without being able to write a single word. Otherwise, just say so. I worked hard to write thousands of words, but I felt completely inadequate and unsatisfied anyway, so I crumpled up the entire manuscript and threw it into the trash. I thought about speeding up, but the quality couldn't keep up. You are responsible for the readers and cannot be perfunctory. Still like this? The big mackerel got into a fight at school again and scratched the faces of his classmates, so he rushed to school to apologize to others. The big mackerel had a fever again, so he spent a whole day in the hospital and was unable to write. No, both the mackerel and the archerfish have been sick several times in the past few months. If they have a fever again, their brains will be burned out. A relative who was invented out of nowhere was injured in a car accident, so I went to visit him without writing a word. This excuse has been used. There are also relatives who have to go to mediation because of the divorce. In short, there can't be too many disasters. Sure enough, I accidentally knocked over the water glass and the water wetted the manuscript, so I had to rewrite it. This is a better reason. Otherwise, the pen is out of ink. It's rare to go shopping today and wasted a lot of time. Otherwise, just apologize, and Tagiza will be forgiven no matter what. After thinking a lot and feeling fearless, Daifeng took a deep breath and opened the door. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 748. It was a joy to have friends from far away, so Daifeng enthusiastically brought a candy plate full of snacks and tea. Not to mention a cup of tea for each person. It is obvious who ends up eating the water. But even though they are both foodies, Daifeng is still much better than Akagya. At least when necessary, he can find food at home. The snacks were placed on the low table, and the tea was pushed down in front of the editor. Daifeng knelt down next to the low table and said, "The editor has come to visit me in such a grand way. I am not welcoming you from afar. I really did not entertain you well. Just don't abandon me," Editor Yuja said with a smile. As an editor, I can still put on a show in front of a small author. However, the other person is already a well-known author, so he can work anywhere without being inferior in front of an editor. In contrast, for a publishing house, a small editor can be found anywhere, but potential authors are not easy to find. In fact, the two of them are also friends apart from their working relationship. These are just jokes, teasing each other. Daifeng took a long piece of halva, clicked it, and ate it like a squirrel. Finally, he clapped his hands and said, "How dare I, Mr. Editor?" Holding the hot tea in both hands, Editor Yuji took a sip. She looked Daifeng up and down. It was already evening when the publishing house normally got off work. Even though the distance was not very far, it still took a while to run over. Unexpectedly, he was still wearing pajamas, and his fiery red hair was messy, as if he had just woken up. However, despite her unkempt appearance, she is still 100% beautiful. Genius aside, the beautiful girl writer definitely lives up to her reputation. She asked, "Just got up?" Daifeng looked down at his pajamas and said shamelessly, "Last night I stayed up all night writing a book and went to bed at midnight. I couldn't fall asleep thinking about the plot. I got up in the morning and continued writing. I forgot to change clothes." "Oh, how much have you written?" Editor Yuji said. "Give me all the manuscripts at the end of the month, no problem." Daifeng immediately showed an annoyed look, covered his face with his hands, and sighed, "Stop talking. Do you know? How much have I written in total? From last night to today, I have written several thousand words. But today at noon I read it myself, and it was like shit. It was totally useless. Just now, I tore up all the manuscripts and rushed them into the sewer. I was so upset. I have always felt that since I have to write, I should write better and not be perfunctory. Even if it's postponed, we won't hesitate." Editor Yuja had no expression on her face. She knows the virtues of Daifeng very well. It is better to say that she knows the virtues of most authors very well. "I thought, I just said something casually, you are so excited, Blah 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 explained a lot. Needless to say, the lie is correct. Fortunately, I didn't come here just to rush the progress, otherwise I would have come here to take advantage of the excitement and come back disappointed. Waving her hands to indicate that she understood, she looked around. You haven't fired yet, are you going out to eat again at night? Probably. Daifeng looked at the sky. It was getting dark outside. I'm afraid the street lights will turn on soon, and it's too late to prepare now. It's obvious that the royalties are so high, Editor Yuji said. I cry out in front of me every day. Daifeng counted the accounts with his fingers. The monthly rent here is not cheap. There are also the tuition fees for Annie and Anna. They go to private elementary schools and the tuition fees are very expensive. During their winter vacation, everyone went on a trip together. Month. Then buy clothes, shoes, and furniture. Finally, there is food money every month. We don't go out to eat every day, we just go out when we don't have time. Annie, Anna, big mackerel, archer fish are also there. Editor Yuji was non-committal and asked, where are your two little guys? You're here, so they went upstairs to play. The two of them are much cuter than my daughter. Editor Yuji was discouraged and thought to herself that they have been married for several years and their daughter is quite old. I always thought she was very cute, a little beauty, and few people could compare to her. In the end, I suddenly realized that I was just a frog in a well, and I was so angry when compared to others. With his elbows on the table and the side of his face supported by his palms, Daifeng took a piece of mochi and put it into his mouth, saying unceremoniously, of course. Yes, of course. Of course ordinary people can't compare with Ship Girl, there's no comparison at all. Although I was very excited, I had been thinking about the scene since I left the publishing house. It must be very interesting. Editor Yuji pretended to be indifferent. Ching, genius beautiful girl writer Taifeng, armored aircraft carrier Taifeng, don't you think so? If the identity of the ship girl is exposed casually, it will cause a lot of trouble, so her identity has never been revealed. Maybe someone who knows the ship girl can guess the identity of the ship girl, but she has almost never exposed her ship uniform. Even if they inherit the same battleship soul, everyone's appearance is different, including eyes, nose, mouth, hair color, and body shape. It is not easy to know which battleship a person belongs to. It's surprising now that his identity is known to others. Although it's not a big deal, it's not like the devil has his real name known. Daifeng narrowed his eyes slightly. How do you know? I was a little skeptical at first, but I wasn't so sure. Sister, you edited, you guys are really ship girls. Well, the Daifeng armored aircraft carrier should be very powerful. Generally speaking, even if ordinary people live in a coastal city, ordinary people know about Canyang, but as long as they don't specifically understand it, the extent is limited. Battleships are more powerful than heavy cruisers, and light cruisers are more powerful than destroyers, but there is no difference between light carriers, armored carriers, and regular aircraft carriers. It is speculated that submarines can dive into the bottom of the sea and there is no way to detect them, so they are very powerful and rare. It was already known, there was nothing to hide. Moreover, as a ship girl, she is very sensitive. It can be seen at a glance that the other party has no malice, only curiosity. Daifeng said proudly, of course, it's very powerful, quite powerful. No one in the nearby Tutelary office or the ship girl branch is my opponent, and I won't have any problem beating them all over the ground. Didn't I see a ship girl once in a newspaper or magazine? No longer as capable as before, the editor Yuji became like a curious little girl. You are a ship girl, why do you write a book? What else will you do? Daifeng asked. Editor Yuji frowned and thought for a moment. For example, join the garrison and then suppress the deep-sea ship girls. Daifeng said, I don't want to join the garrison and I'm too lazy to suppress the deep-sea ship girls. The deep-sea ship girl must be your enemy. Rather than talking about our enemies, it's better to talk about your enemies. Dai Feng sneered and shook the candy. Shaking and shaking like this, the halva suddenly fell on the coffee table. She quickly picked it up and said, I will attack if I want to. If I don't want to, no one can do anything to me. But you are the only one who has the strength to deal with the deep-sea ship girl. Yes. And then? Why do we have to attack? What does it have to do with me? Editor Yuji was silent for a moment, speechless. Just to be cool, Dai Feng curled her lips and said, last December, a deep-sea light cruiser approached Mikoa port. At that time, neither the governor's office nor the ship's squadron branch responded, and it was too late. At this time, a group of carrier-based aircraft suddenly appeared and sank her. Who do you think did it? The people who maintained law and order were the police, and Superman worked in a newspaper office. Only when an enemy that the police could not eliminate appeared, Superman would run out wearing his underwear. Ship girls hate deep-sea ship girls. Most ship girls are in the garrison or ship girl branch, or they serve as ship girls' mercenaries or as bodyguards. In short, he is mostly engaged in suppressing the deep-sea ship girls, at least engaged in matters related to the sea. Despite this, there are still a small number of ship girls hiding in human society and living ordinary lives. However, when necessary, everyone will still bravely stand up. It is very clear that the ship girl does not have to help humans. When she first heard Dai Feng's words, she agreed but was still a little unhappy at the same time. So that's it? Editor Yuji smiled. A talented beautiful girl writer who is also a ship girl must be a big gimmick. Suddenly reacting, Dai Feng raised her palms and said, wait, I almost forgot, you haven't said yet, how do you know our identities? Editor Yuji brushed her bangs and organized her words. This morning, several people came to the publishing house to look for me. No, it should be said that they came to the author with a book, which was you. One of them was a man, and two of them came to me. You're a woman, and you asked me for your home address. Of course I refused. After all, since the gifted beautiful girl author signed a book signing, people come to the publishing house every once in a while to find someone, a bunch of lunatics and idiots. Dai Feng is a little troubled. Although not many people, crazy readers have encountered him several times, and he even moved once because of this. They are different. They are not your readers. They said that the stories you wrote are very familiar, so they suspect that you are their companion. Editor Yuji laughed. They said that their companion is a arrogant, foodie, and unlucky person. Egg. Dai Feng turned her head away and said, they must have found the wrong person. Anyway, I nodded. They are sure that you are their companion. Most people rarely talk about luck. After all, it is just metaphysics. But Dai Feng's luck was so bad that even drinking cold water made his teeth choke, which left a profound impact on people. Editor Yuji shook her head again, but these things are still easy to know with a little investigation. Even if they say so, I still can't give them your address. Dai Feng said, if you do well, that's what you have to do. Then they said that they were the admiral and the other two girls were the ship girls. The admirals are considered big shots, and the ship girls must be good people, definitely not bad people, even if they don't have the certificates. Well, show it to me, I can't see it. I understand. They didn't reveal their uniforms. I believe they are really beautiful, and they must be the girls. Mainly, the man is not very handsome, unless he is very rich, and has many charms that I don't know about. Apart from that, he is really an admiral. I don't believe that two such beautiful people would like the same person. Dai Feng asked, how do you know that those two women like that man? Absolutely, Editor Yuji said, I've been here before. They asked me for your address again. Editor Yuji thought for a while and said, I was thinking again that those admirals can call any ship girl wife. They say you are their companion, but you may not really be. Then you so beautiful, The admiral and the ship girl came to see you, you must be the ship girl, so I asked, I really feel a bit confused, I don't know how to explain it. Editor sister, you took a breath, anyway, they say you are Dai Feng, and you are their companion. I slightly changed what happened in the past in the town hall and wrote it into a novel. I thought about whether people would come to me because of the novel, but they never did. It is not ruled out that someone knows his identity from where, after all, he has shown his ship uniform to some extent, but there is another possibility. Taking a deep breath, Dai Feng stared at his editor. What does that man look like? He asked me to tell you that I'm back. Editor Yuji took out a photo from the bag beside her, then let me give this to you so you can see for yourself. The man who is looking for me is the person in the photo. Dai Feng was silent for a moment, biting his lip, a little scared. Of course, Editor Yuji thought for a while, the real person is not as handsome as in the photo, he is not wearing a military uniform, and he is not as elegant. Dai Feng clenched his fists. Where have they gone? Editor sister, you said, I don't know. Anyway, I asked them to wait a few days before coming to the publishing house. Dai Feng said, dissatisfied, you are stupid, I have already explained it in such detail, I must be someone who knows me. The editor Yuji muttered a few words, but she was not angry. Is he your admiral? Until his editor left, Dai Feng stood in the living room and shouted, Big mackerel, archerfish, come down. What are you doing? Sitting on the high chair, her legs dangling, the big mackerel held a pen. Her homework was almost finished. Come down quickly, Dai Feng shouted again. The big mackerel and the archerfish walked down the stairs, only to see Dai Feng dumbly holding a photo and looking at it, then screamed and flew towards them. The big mackerel dodged Dai Feng and watched the girl fall to the ground, reaching out and snatching away the photo. Archerfish also moved over, wanting to see what was worth being so excited about. I don't know where the background is, and I can't see anything. It's completely blocked. The protagonist of the photo is a man wearing a white military uniform, which is actually an admiral uniform. He was holding a cute little loli in his arms, with cat ears on her head, short pink hair, and a slightly reluctant expression. There were two people standing next to it. They were holding scissor hands, as if they were playing tricks. Xiaozai, the big mackerel, was confused. This is Xiaozai. The archerfish said, Sister Jia Jia and Sister Bazai. This, the big mackerel pointed at the man in the middle, in disbelief. Admiral. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 749. Dai Feng is afraid of the big mackerel, not just because of the influence of history. Even while standing on the sea, someone will quietly appear from the bottom of the sea and grab my feet, which is scary. Otherwise, after reading a horror novel at night, you will suddenly jump out of the shadows that cannot be illuminated by the light, or jump out from around the corner. So much so that when the two of them get along, the little girl, who is obviously a young girl, occupies a dominant position. Despite this, Dai Feng still decides what everyone eats and where they live. Carp streamers hang on the wall, and an open Japanese fan sits on the counter. The wooden floor is covered with tatami mats, with low tables and cushions placed on them. There are also sliding grills and wood-colored furniture. The entire living room has an elegant and simple Japanese decoration style. For the Japanese, kneeling and sitting is a basic skill. For big mackerel and archerfish, there is simply no way to adapt. I try it occasionally, but give up soon. Even if I am a ship girl, my feet will still be numb and I can't stand it. However, in order to take care of them, even though it is a rental house, they generally do not consider buying too much furniture. They bought a desk for their room, and bought an extra large fabric sofa in the living room to place in the corner. Feng just looked at it. The photo was held by Da Mayu. She was lying on the sofa holding a pillow and turning over and over. After all, it was late at night, when a person was walking alone on the street, especially when he saw friends, classmates, and families together. I will always think of my own Admiral. It's been so long since we last saw each other. Admiral, it's really Admiral. Her long blonde hair was tied into a ponytail, and the archer fish sat next to her. She was more reserved. That's the Admiral. The Admiral is holding Xiaozai, said the big mackerel. As a submarine, she and Xiaozai were actually not familiar with each other. After all, they were a surface battleship and an underwater submarine, they just knew each other. After all, as soon as he arrived at the Tutelary mansion, he immediately became a secretary ship, immediately obtained powerful equipment, and had exercises every day. He was a star of the Tutelary mansion that no one could compare with. How could he not recognize her? She seems reluctant. It must be because Bazai is nearby, said the archer fish. Xiaozai did not want to see Bazai, and it was also related to the Tirpitz. It was also because Bismarck regarded Bazai as his own sister, which made people jealous, and he was not even willing to attack in a formation. This was something everyone in the garrison knew. It seems that Sister Bazai is not happy either. Feng lay on the back of the sofa chair and said, she is too lazy to move in Bazai. Of course she is not happy about being dragged and forced to take pictures. The big mackerel thought for a while, both Xiaozai and Bazai are here, so Sister Bismarck must be here, and then Sister Prince Eugen must be here too. They have all returned to the garrison. Saratoga is smiling, but she usually looks cold to me, Feng said. If she is here, Lexington will definitely be here too, and the sisters will never be separated. One sister controls, and the other sister controls. I thought Sister Lexington would take us. The big mackerel thought for a while, we can also take care of ourselves. Unlike Hood and Bismarck, or Washington and South Dakota, who fell in love and killed each other, the relationship between the two was a bit more special, but they still got together because of a slight mistake. Feng suddenly became unhappy. She touched the big mackerel's little head and said, it seems like I have abused you. Archerfish said, the Admiral is gone. He didn't cry. He has always been calm, but Sister Lexington just looks strong. She must not know anything anymore, her head is completely blank. There is no use talking about it now. The big mackerel rolled on the sofa and pointed at the background of the photo. Where did you say this is? There is a window here, it seems to be in front of some house, Archerfish said. Guardian's mansion, Feng said self-righteously, it must be at the guard's mansion. The big mackerel said, we don't have such a place in our garrison. I don't even remember it. That's the new garrison, Feng said casually. After a good discussion, the big mackerel suddenly said, why is the Admiral missing? I don't know, said the archer fish. Indeed, no one knows why the Admiral left. Some people think that everyone has been abandoned. Originally, we only met the Admiral once a long time before he left. After a rare meeting, the Admiral disappeared. There must be something fishy. Some people think that there must be a compelling reason, remembering the reluctance in the Admiral's eyes. Quincy said the Admiral must be dead, and she was taught a lesson. All in all, there were various speculations, all the way up to the collapse of the garrison. The big mackerel said, you must ask him carefully. As an author, Feng analyzed, I stood on the beach, was swept away by the waves, got up from the sea and lost my memory, so I can't remember everyone. The most common plot in this kind of novel can be easily picked up at your fingertips. The big mackerel asked, why do you think of it again? I remember, isn't it okay? Feng thought for a moment, something must have happened, and then the memory came back. For example, when I unexpectedly returned to the town guard house, I felt very familiar, and suddenly I had a headache, and when I thought of myself, I felt like he has lived here for a long time. Otherwise, someone must have met him and told him that you were an admiral, so he recalled it bit by bit. To a certain extent, Dai Feng guessed a lot, but he immediately started to let himself go. He was swept into the turbulent sea by huge waves, and then rushed to the beach. When he was rescued, he had lost his memory. The person who rescued people must be a girl, and they gradually fell in love with each other, and maybe even got married. After so long, they probably have children. But the admiral is not handsome, and he has a bad personality. He likes to see the archer fish with its big and white buttocks, the big mackerel said bluntly. Even if he is his own admiral, if he doesn't say nice things, 1 is 1 and 2 is 2. Of course, if outsiders want to speak ill of their admiral, they will still refute or even get into a fight. As the main character, Archer Fish was a bit shy and kept silent. The big mackerel looked at the photo again. He was dressed neatly in an admiral uniform and whispered, "He's still quite handsome." The Archer Fish suddenly asked out of curiosity, "If the admiral has a child, what will we call him? Little Admiral, or Little Master?" The big mackerel said, "We are the admiral's ship girls, not someone else's ship girls. Not to mention the male admirals, many female admirals are married. Their husbands may be acquaintances to the ship girls, but they will never develop a close relationship. The admiral's child is an acquaintance and a friend to the ship girl, nothing more. Ship girls are not family heirlooms that can be passed down to one person forever. They will only be loyal to one person from beginning to end." The two little Lolita chattered, and Dai Feng thought for a while, "It's still quite difficult to have a baby, it seems to be quite easy." Waving his hand, Dai Feng said enthusiastically, "Anyway, one day, the amnesiac admiral was standing on the beach. Suddenly someone came to find him, and it was Lexington. She told everything and reminded everyone of everything. Then on one side was the former one. The wife has been looking for herself, and on the other side is the newlywed wife. At this time, she doesn't know how to make a choice, so. Sister Lexington, Sister Gaga." The big mackerel counted them one by one, raising his hands to indicate that there were many. "He already has 8 wives, it doesn't matter if he has one more." Dai Feng's shoulders slumped, as if this was the truth, so he felt a little lost. After all, in this case, there is no sadness, entanglement, love, hate, or idle learning, and there is no sad and touching story. No one looked at the other two people making love to each other, pretending to be happy even though they were crying in their hearts. No one sits alone on the stone steps by the roadside, looking up at the stars and reminiscing bit by bit. Instead of being surrounded by fireworks and laughter, a man wearing a scarf and gloves was walking alone on the road. The big mackerel paid no attention to Dai Feng, who was suffering from literary girl syndrome. She curiously asked the archerfish, "What do you think the admiral is doing now?" "I don't know," the archerfish replied. The big mackerel said, "Maybe they are discussing us." Under the bright incandescent light, in a roadside restaurant, Sugai and others were having dinner early, and they were really discussing the big mackerel. Fried mackerel. Sugu tapped the plate with chopsticks. When he saw the menu at first, he thought it was interesting, so he ordered it specifically, 1 piece for each person. "You're welcome." "I don't like big mackerel." "You like big mackerel." Ruhi didn't go to pick up the vegetables, and there was something in her words. Sugu glanced at Ruhi, and he said amusedly, "It's not bad." Ruhi scooped himself a bowl of chicken soup and asked Sugu, "Do you want it?" Sugu said, "No." Ruhi said, "The archer fish is delicious." He used to like watching documentaries, such as Animal World, and he knew all kinds of fish. Sugu said, "It's too small to eat, but it's better to keep it for viewing." "You also know," Ruhi glanced at Sugu sideways. "No matter how much you like it, small animals must not be placed on the dining table. Ginger and fish cakes can only lie on your lap." Hood held the spoon and said weakly, I seem to understand, but I don't seem to understand. She ate and slept in silence, but unfortunately Ruhi was not that particular. She shook her chopsticks and said, Hood-chan, you only need to know that someone is a perverted lolicon. No, just a perverted young girl. What I want most what he does is roll around on the bed with his young daughter in his arms. Finding Hood staring at him, Sugu said dissatisfiedly, Ruhi, I remind you, don't talk nonsense. When have I ever done such a thing? I didn't say you did it, I just said you wanted to. Sugu said angrily, compared to the big mackerel and archer fish, the snipe is more delicious. I want to eat it. Rogue, I didn't know it well before, and it was used as a joke every time. Now that I know what the snipe represents, Ruhi glared at Sugu. Sugu said to Huda, next time we go to eat game. If the seafood is boring, let's eat snipe. Not caring about the occasion or atmosphere, Hood asked, what is that? Waterfowl can be roasted and eaten, or made into soup. Sugu glanced at Ruhi and sneered, there's just not much meat. Get lost. Tall and slim, Ruhi has a problem that has always bothered him. Sugu looked at Hood, Hood-chan, ginger, fish cake. Which one do you like more? Give the other to Ruhi. If it were Saratoga or Missouri, anyone would be fine, but Hood didn't know how to cooperate. No, they're all mine. Sugu couldn't help being so disrespectful. Yes, 2 cats are better than 1. You just stuffed the cat. Hood bit his lip, it was just once. Discover once and treat it 100 times. Does the Admiral like to bully us that much? Sugu's hand holding the vegetable stopped in the air, wondering if he had gone too far, but he liked it, really liked it. Black Veneto, Black Hood, Black South Dakota, in that order. He is such a despicable and shameful person. Ruhi took a shredded squid and put it in his mouth. Hood said, Ruhi seems to hate the Admiral. Annoying. He has been bullied all the time, but it's just a bit of a mouthful. In fact, Hood knows it very well. It's not a common enemy, but a melee. The more some people want something, the more they pretend not to care. The more they are afraid of losing, the more they pretend not to care. The more they like something, the more they pretend to hate it. Ruhi fell silent and took a mouthful of rice. Hood-chan, what are you talking about? Hood didn't explain. She replied, nothing. Ruhi said, to be honest, Hood-chan, I believed you're evil and actually came to Silver Beach. It's not pretty at all, it's not as good as the beach next to our guardhouse. Hood explained, I saw it was well introduced in the magazine. Of course the magazine should have the best introductions. It was not originally prepared for people like us who live by the sea. Sugu said, remembering that in the past, as a local, he had no feeling at all about the nationally famous landscapes. There's nothing special about it. There aren't even many people. Ruhi remembered that everyone had been riding for a long time and saw an empty beach with just 3 idiots. It's still spring. Who wants to play at the beach and can't swim in the water? Sugu thought for a while, if it were summer, I would probably only see human heads. Anyone who dares to travel on National Day and May Day is a warrior. Let's go back tomorrow. I can't go back now, I can only do it tomorrow. Sugu thought to himself and came here specially, but it was not fun at all. Where to go after dinner? There seems to be no place to go. Sugu said, first find a hotel and book 2 rooms, sea view rooms. In the governor's mansion, there are sea view rooms every day. Ruhi thought for a while, buy a pair of cards and let's play cards. I don't want to play. Hood was still confident about his luck. Ruhi laughed, speaking of which, Hood, who has better luck, you or Dai Feng? I should have better luck. Hood hesitated. Is there anyone worse off than Dai Feng? Sugu thought for a while, Mutsu self-destruct. Mutsu is about the same as Taeho. I don't know if this is the worst luck, but everyone met a super unlucky guy on the second day. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 750. In the morning, everyone took the bus back to the city. Cars were coming and going, and Sugu stood at the intersection, looking in the direction of the publishing house. Ruhi patted his shoulder and asked, "What are you looking at?" "Nothing." Based on all the information, it was basically certain. Sugu said, "I wonder if the editor went to find Dafen yesterday? If so, we can go get the address." Ruhi clasped his hands behind his back. "I don't know." After hesitating for a moment, Sugu said, "Forget it, I'll ask again tomorrow. There is no mobile phone, no instant messaging, so I can only take the time to go there in person. It might be the same day, or it might take a few days. After all, here, unless you are in a public sector, it is not that easy to get to and from get off work on time, and working overtime is really common. In addition, there may be various things that lead to accidents, so we agreed to wait a few days at the beginning. Think about it, no one owes him anything, and he requires others to do their best to help. He is not so self-righteous that he thinks the whole world revolves around him." Twisting his bangs with his fingers, Ruhi said, "But she must be too careful, it's just an address. I think it's not bad." As a talented beautiful girl writer, there must be many suitors. Sugu thought to himself that when his brother bought a house in the morning, he would receive calls from more than one decoration company in the afternoon. This kind of caution, which can be said to be an expression of conscientiousness, is really a praiseworthy behavior and cannot be blamed just because it is your turn. Since the admiral has decided, of course there is no objection. Huda looked around. "Where should we go?" "I don't know. I went to Yinton. I originally wanted to spend 2 days there, but I didn't expect that the season was completely wrong." Since he was unfamiliar with the city and had no place to go, Sugu said, "Otherwise, let's go to the park." Whatever with ginger, fish cakes, and the admiral by his side, for Hood, it doesn't matter where he goes. "I'm free." Ruhi shrugged, "but what's the fun in going to the park? When I first came here, I saw the advertisement on the roadside." Sugu said, "How about Ocean Park?" "Casual. Whatever. It's just." Before Ruhi could speak, she found Sugu looking at her and giggled, "Okay, you can go wherever you want, I won't say anything." "How about going to a love hotel?" Sugu said angrily. He felt a little discouraged. Sure enough, it would be better to bring some little loli with him. Not only can you rub your face anytime, even on the street. They are curious about everything, so they will definitely clamor to go to the zoo, amusement park, and ocean park, so there is no need to be embarrassed. Let's go to the city center, walk around, eat something, and we will be over soon. Although it is a prosperous city, we walked around and there was not much to see, but there was quite a lot to eat. Near noon, everyone was sitting on the bench guardrail in the garden of the central square. Hood and Sugu are playing with the cat. "Ginger, fish cake, Oscar, who is more powerful?" "Oscar bullies Ginger and fish cake every day," Hood said angrily. "Where's Oscar and Kent's big, ferocious tiger? The ferocious big tiger should be more powerful. Belle McKen from Dumplings, and U81 with 3 little wolves, who else?" Sugu thought for a while. "There is a hamster in New Orleans, let's forget about it." Hood asked, "Admiral, what do you want to do?" "You practice every day, don't you?" Sugu said. "I wonder which one of them is the most powerful?" "The monster arena is here." Hood stroked Ginger and slowly looked at Sugu. "Everyone is so cute." With nothing to do, Ruhi bent over, resting his hands on his thighs, resting his cheeks on his palms and looking into the distance. There were several children running around and someone was flying a kite. It seems that some shopping mall has opened, and many dolls were specially invited to dress up and hold signs to promote the mall, including tigers, rabbits, dinosaurs, etc. "Admiral, what do you mean by bad luck?" Ruhi suddenly asked. The two cats curled up in a ball and remained motionless. No matter how they teased them, they never fought. Sugu heard Ruhi's words and didn't know why. He thought for a while. After a long drought, a few drops of nectar comes. Meeting an old friend and an enemy in a foreign land. A night of flowers and candles in the wedding room, next door. When I was named on the gold list, I failed. Would you believe that some people are born unlucky? Xi and Sugu said with a serious face, there is one around us. Who had noticed that Sugu was looking at her, and she suddenly panicked, Admiral, what do you think I'm doing? If it was Bismarck or the Prince of Wales who only dared to talk behind his back, Hood would have nothing to worry about and would be the most fun to bully. Sugu thought for a while, it's like Hood. Although he had bad eyesight, he mistook Prince Eugen for Bismarck or something. And it happened to be inferior. It was an old ship from the First World War. Its own protection was flawed and the armor was not enough. There were no explosion-proof partitions installed between the ammunition depots. But they were killed immediately after a few minutes of fighting, so luck still had something to do with it. Hood shouted, Admiral, don't use me as an example. Otherwise, who can give an example? I can't think of anyone else. Hood curled his lips and said weakly, Shuefeng, Xiang Rui Yufu's house is safe. The torpedo dived too deep, slipped from the bottom of the ship, and hit the flagship Shentong next to it. Only one bomb was hit in dozens of large-scale air strikes. And it happened to be a dud. In order to avoid the bomb, it accidentally hit the mine laid by myself, and then the mine fuse failed. However, Chus Huang also hit the mine and broke the bottom. Sugu smiled, Wugang Shuefeng. Admiral, look at that dinosaur. Ruhi didn't participate in the conversation. She stretched out a hand. Since the beginning, in just a short period of time, we have encountered several unlucky things. A beer bottle suddenly fell from upstairs. Hit it right on the head. Someone ate a banana or something, anyway, it was thrown around, it happened to be stepped on, and then it slipped. Sugu was surprised, beer bottle? Why did a beer bottle fall? It looks like there's a restaurant upstairs. Some drunk guy or naughty kid could kill him, Ruhi said. Fortunately, that person is wearing a dinosaur costume. Sugu said, rather than saying it's unlucky, it's better to say that someone has no quality. Falling objects from high altitudes are the most dangerous. He is very unqualified, but also very unlucky. Sugushin thought so. I remember that I dislocated my hand once when I was a kid. I was stupid and jumped off the tractor and hit the ground. Sugu thought for a moment, other than that, I didn't seem to encounter any bad luck. The most unlucky thing is meeting some bastard Admiral Ziwa, he said. Roll. Hood thought for a while, but in the end he didn't say a word. Regardless of whether the dinosaurs were unlucky or not, to everyone, it's not worth caring about. After sitting for a while, seeing that it was noon, Sugu stood up and invited everyone to eat. After eating and drinking, and taking a good rest, I passed by the central square again and saw the dinosaur sitting on a bench. The big dinosaur head was taken off and placed next to it. It was completely unexpected that there was actually a girl inside. She has a pretty, cute face with a slight blush. Ruhi poked Sugu with his elbow, whistled, and said teasingly, Admiral, you are very cute. What do you think? No idea. Aren't you going to strike up a conversation? Sugu said, not interested. I think she must be easy to trick. I also think it's easy to lie, Sugu said, so he must have a boyfriend. I haven't asked yet, and you know it again. I guess he doesn't like me either. Ruhi laughed. Many people don't want to look too ugly, but they feel that it's not their turn to look good. It doesn't matter if they are ugly, and it doesn't matter if they have no money. What if they are blind? Sugu said, already 12. This is the main reason. Ruhi nodded. It's really rich, Sugu said. He saw the girl put the food box on her thigh, including rice balls, fried shrimp tempura, fried meatballs, etc. While eating with chopsticks. He covered the side of his face with his hands, full of happiness, comparable to Akagya. However, before everyone could go far, a ball flew from the sky. The food box in the girl's hand suddenly fell to the ground, and the food spilled all over the floor. It's really unlucky, Hood agreed. She had encountered this kind of thing before. The result was that she got another meal, and the naughty culprits Z17 and Z18 were punished. Sugu said, Huda, are you embarrassed to talk to me? Hood wanted to refute, but suddenly remembered that it was just to try to stuff a cat that it felt like this. Only once, the admiral happened to come, and she felt a little tired. Ruhi said, I can only buy one more. It's not cheap. Sugu was discerning. As a ship girl, it is natural to be kind, but not stupid or a bad person. Like Washington, everything is done according to the contract. If someone violates it, it doesn't matter even if someone's family is destroyed. She doesn't think she has done anything wrong. Ruhi said, whoever throws the ball will pay for it. I don't know if it's fate. Sure enough, it should be said that this girl is more beautiful and attracts attention. Unlike ordinary-looking people, even if they meet many times a day, they won't know if they don't pay attention. Anyway, in the afternoon, Sugu and a few people stood on the bridge watching the performance, and accidentally saw it again. I saw the unfortunate girl walking across the bridge holding two big dolls. This time, she wasn't wearing a dinosaur costume. Her figure was clearly visible, with big breasts and a big butt, enough to withstand an explosion. Ruhi, don't you feel ashamed? When Ruhi glanced at Sugu, his eyes narrowed dangerously, and he punched him in the stomach. The admiral was murdered. Hood whispered, it's your own fault. The iron fist of Justice Ziwa, he snorted, raised his fist, and blew a breath. Suddenly, I saw the unfortunate girl standing in the middle of the bridge and stopped, groping up and down in the pockets of her clothes and trousers. Ruhi laughed dumbly. This was the first time he saw such an unlucky person. He must have lost something. Hood said, wallet. Maybe it was stolen. Sugu smiled and touched his pocket. Ruhi looked at Sugu and his eyes suddenly turned. As a ship girl, she was not like ordinary people who ignored matters that had nothing to do with them. She was so anxious that she shouted, thief, catch him. Someone in the crowd suddenly started running. The unlucky girl was still in a daze. Ruhi shouted, it's him, chase him. As she said that, she also caught up with him. When she came out of the police station in the evening, the unfortunate girl felt a little aggrieved. The thief was caught, but he didn't steal her wallet. He just stole someone else's wallet. He heard someone shouting catch the thief and ran away. Ziwahi was a little embarrassed, thinking about what if her wallet had just been stolen. I don't believe that any thief has such a good mentality that he wouldn't run away like this. If nothing happens, the most you will get is a few strange looks. It wasn't stolen, it must have been lost somewhere, said the unfortunate girl. Ruhi said, go back and look for it. It's possible that it was stolen, but it wasn't by that person. After Sugu finished speaking, he found several people looking at him. It's possible. I returned to Kyoto and didn't just leave. Everyone helped me look for it, but of course I couldn't find it. Ruhi asked, is it a lot of money? I bought 2 dolls. The unlucky girl thought for a while and hugged a number. Not much at all, Sugu thought in his heart. He said, if you can't find it, just treat it as a loss of money and avoid disaster. The unlucky girl bit her lip, and Ziwahi stepped on Sugu. The garrison has money, so a little support doesn't matter. However, Sugu would not say stupidly, I will support you. The girl seemed to be aware of his thoughts. It doesn't matter, it's just a little money, it's just, so unlucky. Without any conscience, Ruhi chuckled, I've seen you since noon. You dropped the beer bottle, fell down, and couldn't even eat. The unlucky girl beat her head and complained, I don't know why I am unlucky. I always encounter this kind of thing every day. Ruhi crossed his arms and said, think about it, it's actually not that unlucky. Whether it was a falling object from a height or a fall, I happened to be wearing a dinosaur suit, stuffed with cotton, and was not injured. I fell during lunch, so I can ask someone to accompany me. Have a big meal. Sugu thought to himself that many admirals were unwilling to accept reality and admit that they were Africans. Even if they build a destroyer, they comfort themselves by saying that it is not an ordinary destroyer, without the same destroyer is victory, and now that we have a battleship, we can't afford it, which is a spirit of joy in hardship. The unfortunate girl said, a child kicked me here, I didn't ask him to compensate. Although my wallet was stolen, I used the money to buy a doll. It's not a big loss. I caught a thief and I was happy to help others. Ruhi said, well, let's go have a big dinner tonight and we'll treat him. No need, said the unfortunate girl, I'm going back. You bought 2 dolls that big, so they must be gifts. Ruhi said, they must be good friends. The unfortunate girl hugged the doll tightly, my good friend, my heart beats loudly every time I see her. Sugu said jokingly, you must be in love. Really? Real? Until the unlucky girl left, Sugu said, it's really unlucky to be unlucky. To be honest, I think she's a little stunned. What did you start telling people? Ruhi said, it must be love. Be brave and express your love. My heart beats. My heart beats. It's love. Sugu thought for a moment, she can't really believe it. Ruhi nodded, Hood nodded, and Sugu said, the lilies are blooming, just in time. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 751. The young man was leaning against the window drinking milk. He looked at the woman walking in front of him and couldn't help but be stunned. She is really a beauty. Except that her breasts are a little smaller and her butt is a little smaller, everything is fine. Especially the short hair, I absolutely love it. He was thoughtful, and then saw the woman sitting down at a round table. There was also a blonde woman sitting there, scratching the chin of a fat orange cat, and she couldn't help but be surprised. Should I choose short hair or long hair? Women with short hair are very cute, while women with long hair are dignified and elegant, like noble ladies. Just like whether to go to Tsinghua University or Peking University when you grow up, it is really a big problem that bothers people. But he wasn't ready to strike up a conversation yet. When he saw a man sitting down next to 2 women, the 2 women suddenly smiled, dazzlingly bright. I met an unlucky guy and helped him for once. After dinner, night came soon, and I found a hotel to stay. It was now in the restaurant of the hotel in the morning. Ruhi asked Sugu seriously, did you see the lady tonight? It would be okay if I didn't say it, but if I did, Sugu felt a little aggrieved. I thought to myself that it would be too difficult for 3 people to travel together without any hope of sleeping together. However, what is discouraging is that I and Huda are obviously husband and wife and should sleep in the same room, but you are the one who interferes. For several days, it was impossible to get close to Hood. Don't worry, the Admiral is a man. Once in a while, we can understand. I'm used to eating delicacies from the mountains and seas, so I don't have the slightest interest in rotten fish and shrimps. Even in the past, when there weren't so many cute wedding ships, Sugu was still not sensitive to such things. He said, if you can understand, return the Hood to me. A little shy, Hood really didn't have much awareness of being a wedding ship. She raised the 2 cats and said, Admiral, you can actually ask Ginger and Fish Cake to accompany you tonight. Consultant Sue, does Hood know about chocolate and vanilla? I don't know, Hood said. Is it a cat too? Yes, Cat Sugu said, thinking, cat lady. On the round table are miso soup, grilled fish, pickles, natto, etc. Sugu saw Ruhi cracking raw eggs into the rice, and then started stirring with chopsticks. It's a bit disgusting. Shut up. Ruhi was unhappy, and she poured some more soy sauce into the bowl. Isn't it fishy to mix raw eggs with rice? Sugu said. Ruhi curled his lips in disgust. So you don't know how to eat, so you want special eggs. Sugu didn't refute that there was no mutual agreement. He saw a piece of egg dish. There are a lot of Japanese food in the governor's mansion. Although there were few opportunities in the past, he still often eats Japanese food now. He almost knows what it is, tamakoyaki. I remember Daifeng likes it very much. There seems to be meatballs, well, I should say dumplings bar. Ruhi took a mouthful of rice. Since Sugu said it, it didn't taste good. She said, Daifuku, mochi, yokan, dorayaki, a literary girl, a foodie girl. If you don't want to give her anything else, give her something else. I'm the happiest when eating. You reminded me. Sugu clapped his hands. When we go to the publishing house, has she asked Daifeng? If so, we can get the address. Daifeng mackerel and archerfish. They must be very unhappy that the admiral has been away for so long. Sure enough, they need to buy some gifts, candies, and toys. For the two of them, each of them will have a box of chocolates and a doll. Okay, Ruhi nodded. Then what? Ruhi waved his hands, feeling a little tired. It's nothing. It didn't take long to have breakfast. After leaving the hotel, we didn't choose to walk this time. We took a taxi and arrived at the publishing house not long after. I have already been here once, and I found the editor with ease, and saw that she was holding some manuscript and looking at it. After waiting for a while, it was obvious that it would not be over for a while, so Sugu could only interrupt and remind, hello. You are here. Editor Yuji saw everyone. Have you seen Daifeng? Sugu said, I am sure I am her admiral. Yesterday, no, I went to see her the day before yesterday, and she kept complaining about me. You are a stupid editor. People have made it so clear, and she still suspected that she was a bad person. Yesterday, she came to the publishing house and waited for a long time, but you didn't come. It's a pity that you teased me casually. She left after just 2 words. She was so arrogant. Before leaving, she told me not to mess around and to deliver the address properly. Editor Yuji said, I have known her for almost 2 years, but I don't know about you. So. It's been a long time, but now that you're here, I just want to say that it's great to be an admiral. Sugu was a little ashamed, thinking that becoming an admiral and having a ship girl could already be said to be half stepping into happiness in everyone's minds. After all, they are all beautiful, cute, loyal, and powerful. Marriage is not allowed on the destroyer. There is a clear rule, otherwise you will go to the gendarmerie. They are almost light cruisers, and they are often slim and cute girls. I feel so good that I can boldly send out rings. Let's not discuss it first. Whether it is difficult or not is hard to come by. If you are lucky enough to build a battleship, build a reputation as a maid leader, or have a maid sister fight back, you basically don't need to think about anything. If it is built and sold, countless people will flock to it and want to be called MRS. If the work ability is very good, the housekeeping ability is very good, and the cooking skills are not compared with beings like Fuzu and Yuxian, it can also be said to be very Lexington. Come on, God created humans, cold made humans equal. It's not about conservation of energy, equivalent exchange, or how much rights you enjoy and how much obligations you bear. The admiral's contribution is often negligible compared to that of the ship's wife. I didn't expect that she was actually a ship girl. What happened to you in the past? Do you want me to lead the way? After chatting for a while, Sugu got the address and was about to leave when he noticed that editor Yuji kept looking at him strangely. Is there something wrong with my face? Editor Sister Yu pointed to the manuscript. This is the manuscript that Daifeng sorted out yesterday and gave to me. Her new book is still a little short. Sugu felt a little strange, and then heard the introduction from the editor of Sister Yu. The heroine had a man she liked, but that man abandoned her one day, so she killed the man and traveled alone. After a moment of silence, Sugu said, "Murder is a crime." Editor Yuji said, "There are always so many murders every year." Sugu turned around and found Ruhi and Hood looking at him. He thought to himself, the ship girl can also be said to be the elf or heroic spirit of the battleship. Battleships are also boats, 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 as the saying goes, boarded a pirate ship. In short, as long as you become an admiral, you will be tied to the ship's wife for the rest of your life. You can slack off or not be such a good man, but don't think about getting off the ship. On the same day, Sugu found Daifeng's house with the address. He carried several boxes of snacks and everything he wanted. "I was thinking, do you want to give me a hug? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 752. It's not a single-family villa, but an apartment in a high-rise building. After all, this is a big city, so every inch of land is at a premium. After ringing the doorbell, Sugai and others waited in the corridor for a short time before someone opened the door. The girl wearing slippers has long fiery red hair tied into a pair of ponytails, and a slim white dress with lantern sleeves. It was obvious that Daifeng was not a yandere, and there was no oncoming hatchet. Even if you don't chop off the person's entire head, at least a few strands of hair will fall to the ground after the sword flashes. She is tsundere, but not to that high degree. So there is no such thing as putting your hands on your hips, showing your little fangs, tilting your head and not looking at people, and saying, "What are you doing here? I don't want to see you." This kind of thing has happened many times. Sugu said, "Daifeng, I finally found you." She wasn't a little Lolita, nor was she a bold girl, so Daifeng naturally didn't hug her. She originally wanted to say a lot of things, but she didn't know what to say at this time. She hesitated and said, "Admiral, really, it would be great if you come back. Why don't you bring any gifts?" Sugu saw Daifeng staring at the gift he was holding in his hands. His eyes lit up, and he stretched out his hand to receive it. Hey, you don't have to be so anxious, you are such a foodie girl. I always remembered that you liked these things, so I bought them specially. I originally wanted to bring a few books to our talented beautiful girl writer, but after thinking about it, I must have read them all. It's not a unique copy, so forget it. What a genius beautiful girl author, I'm just a small author. Daifeng was still modest, but the smile on his face became brighter. Shocked, Ziwei was stunned, she believed it now. The admiral himself said that he had been in society before and could say whatever he wanted. Looking at Daifeng again, there was a little blush on his face. I really agree with that sentence. Even if I wear it 1,000 times, I will never wear it. Really, I have written a book myself, but I can't do it at all. It's too difficult. Anyway, you are much better than me, the Admiral Daifeng greeted everyone in. Sugu took off his shoes at the entrance and walked in only his socks. On the floor, he looked around and said, "You bought such a big house with your royalties, do you still have the nerve to talk about a small author?" Daifeng said, "It's rented." "The rental is just right," Sugu said. "Daifeng, prepare to go back to the governor's mansion with us." Ruhi finally couldn't bear it any longer and said, "Daifeng, let me tell you the truth. That guy just read your new book and was afraid of receiving a hatchet. Daifeng is so gentle and a literary girl. How can he kill a knife? What should I be afraid of, not to mention that Daifeng has a weak character. If he were a person with a bad temper, he would be embarrassed to say anything at this time. Sugu looked at Ruhi with disgust. "It's not you, violent woman." Ruhi bared his teeth, stepped on Sugu, and raised his chin. "You know I am a violent woman, but you still say that." On the low table were the snacks brought by Sugu, and each person had a cup of hot tea, with white mist rising. Daifeng and Ruhi were sitting on their knees. Sugu was not used to it, so he crossed his legs regardless of appearance. Hood tried his best to sit down on his knees, but soon gave up. Despite her many bad performances, she is still an elegant noble lady at heart. It was really inelegant to cross one's legs, so he stretched his legs in one direction, bent them, and sat sideways. Sugu only glanced at her and felt that her sitting posture was more difficult than anyone else's, and also more tempting. All in all, it was a lively meeting, with everyone sitting together. Sugu held the book in his hand. Actually, it was Jia Jia who saw it at first. She said that the book contained many stories about what happened in the townhouse. Later we went to find a few more books, and then everyone suspected that you had written it. Your editor said we had to ask you before giving us your address, otherwise we would have come long ago. You're too careful, it's just an address. You all said it was the admiral and the ship girl. They are definitely not bad people, and you are still worried. Daifeng complained for a moment, and after thinking about it, he explained, but in the past, there were some book signings and book signings. The readers were so enthusiastic that they all followed it home and had no choice but to move. It's okay, just wait for 2 more days. You said it easily. Daifeng thought again. Everyone has been very excited since getting the news about you. I originally tried to finish the book all at once, but I couldn't write a word at all. She said, I have been wondering if anyone has read the book and come here to find it. I didn't expect that the admiral came and caught a big fish. There are many small stories in the book that only everyone in the town can understand. At first I wanted to delete it, but I didn't want to. But I deleted it anyway, and just added a little more quietly. Well, many people said that my word count was poor. After understanding a little bit, Sugu said sternly, an author who doesn't know how to count words is not a good author at all. Rather than adding water to the book, mixing the book with the water is the way to go. Ruhi held her for it. She usually reads some magazines, and there were serials in every issue. There are several pages and a long chapter, but there is no plot at all, it is all nonsense. Killing people, grabbing treasures, upgrading, and knocking them down. There is no useful information at all. I was deceived so miserably. It's worrying. Even so, there are so many people like Santiago. He didn't want to speak ill of others, so he mumbled things like it only looks good if it's water and you don't have to watch it if you don't like it. I immediately wanted to retort, it's just water, there's no edge, I just want to see it, I just want to say it. The more words there are, the more the manuscript fee will be. Daifeng ate several snacks and told the truth. Be brave and don't be shy. Sugu smiled maliciously and added, I have read all the books you wrote. The writing is really good and the words are really beautiful. The stories are also well adapted. It's also a story about the town hall, but I will only write about the overbearing President Bismarck and Miss Hood. Admiral bullies me every day. Boss Hood was unhappy. What can I do? I have bad eyesight, an explosion in an instant, and just Bismarck is too dramatic. Sugu thought to himself, he never talks about others, mainly because you care too much, so you bully him every time. He saw Ziwihi smiling again. Think about it, the love-hate story of Ziwihi, Lexington and CV-16 is also very good. Yes, green-haired crane, let's talk about it. Anyway, Mutsu self-destruction, ammunition management Akage, Wugang Swafeng, watching the sun Saratoga, I know these. Daifeng held the teacup with both hands. She had been feeling anxious. Finally, it was over. There was no leakage of urine. Feng breathed a sigh of relief. This alone is absolutely intolerable. We were all prepared to hit him head on, and everyone was happy. Ruhi was furious. Can you say green-haired crane again? I won't tell, Sugu said. If you want me to tell you, just tell me, who are you? After snorting, Ruhi said to Daifeng, he only knows black people. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the worst admiral in the world. Yes, Daifeng smiled. Hood took the book from Sugu's hand and turned a page. By the way, the war correspondent Igu's prototype is Ayanamai. Daifeng was eating, his face was bulging, and he couldn't speak, so he could only respond in a weird voice. Although he had some guesses but was not sure, Hood asked again, is Celica Lexington? Who is Xingyue? Zi Wikaku? Ruhi was shocked. Why is it me? Anyway, it's you. It's written according to your character. And Shirahoshi is Fuzu. Daifeng fell on the tatami, the girl Yukikaze who brings misfortune to the people around her. Good friends Akagi and Kazu who fall in love with the same person. Hey, feelings are not reciprocated no matter what. Ziwi said, Akagi is already a wedding ship, you don't have to worry. This was big news. Daifeng sat up immediately, no way. That is. What about Kaga? No Kaga. Ziwi chattered a lot, then suddenly patted Sugu on the shoulder. Daifeng, look at this, 12 wedding ships, the hero among the admirals, the Lord of the Rings. Despite being ridiculed, Sugu remained expressionless. After all, it was no longer the same as before. Why has he not experienced heavy winds and rains now? Following the tide and counter-attacking. Married to Colorado, West Virginia will definitely not let her go. Maryland, well, her figure is too pitiful. Ha ha ha. Washington and Richelieu are indispensable. Sugu was eating snacks and interjected, yes, no one should be left behind, all of them should be taken into the harem. It's the difference between earlier and later. Daifeng stared at Sugu, Admiral, when will Ruhi be admitted to the harem? Ruhi sneered, stretched out his hand, and slapped Daifeng on the face with his bow. You might as well ask yourself when you will be admitted to the harem, and then write a palace plan. The debauched and unscrupulous emperor has a big harem. There is Lexington, the most favored wife of the palace, and Saratoga, the noble concubine. Everyone wants to compete for the most favored little princess. She has a deep mind, ability, and means to peek into the status of the wife of the palace, although it is still Missouri is a talented person. Anyway, there are many conspiracies, intrigues, deceptions, hatred, crying, making trouble, and hanging, retreating in order to advance, and all kinds of methods are endless. Daifeng rubbed his face, seriously, Ruhi, you are so awesome. Ruhi was even proud, it's a small matter. Daifeng scratched his hair, you just said, who is Missouri? Missouri, a cutting-edge battleship, has been a member of the garrison for a year and a half, and is just about to enter the harem. At least she is a noble lady. Daifeng was discouraged, a lot of people have already returned to the town hall. Yes. So it's bad luck it was so late. Well, there are good and bad things like luck. Ruhi looked at Sugu, then at Huda, then at Daifeng, and suddenly laughed. There are good things like luck, and there are bad things. Bad, 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 bad. Sugu cooperated, girls who love to laugh will not have bad luck. To be honest, if a girl has always been unlucky, I don't know how she can laugh. Daifeng and Huda stopped talking. As a lucky crane, Ziwi laughed so hard that he slapped the table, Fuzu, Yamashiro, and those Megami ones. Yeah, Xiang he is the victim. One by one, ha ha ha. Sugu said, Ruhi, Xiang he is your sister after all. You have disowned her. Daifeng asked curiously, "It's really strange, Ruhi, you're not with your sister." Ruhi stopped laughing and made no secret of his dissatisfaction. "Ask Hood, otherwise my sister will come with you." After everyone was served, Huda said, "I still want prestige." Obviously he didn't eat a few pieces, but Ruhi didn't like it too much. Hood focused on playing with the cat, and the snacks were almost there. Sugu looked around and suddenly asked, "Speaking of it, Daifeng, the big mackerel and archer fish should be with you, right?" He actually couldn't bear to ask until now, Ziwa he thought. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 753. After the ginger and fish cakes were put down by Hood, they walked around casually, and then lazily curled up on the tatami. However, because of being loved by Veneto in this way, the two could not beat Oscar, who liked to run around and dance around, and was often bullied. The final result was that every time Hood came to Bismarck to argue, he was bullied by Prince Eugen, and then went to Sugu to complain and make a report. There are many books on the cabinet in the living room, and there are also many books on the sofa. Not only sitting on my knees, but also sitting on my side is not much better, in fact it is very uncomfortable. Unable to bear it for a long time, Hood left the room and picked up a book to read. I saw many notes written on it, many beautiful paragraphs with horizontal and wavy lines, and many pages even had their corners folded. She sighed. It was not like her who often read books, but she just finished reading them. No wonder Daifeng has already published a book, but he can't write anything. It seems that there must be less idleness and afternoon tea. I must strive to write a book and cannot fall behind. Hood beat Bismarck violently. "That's it?" "Yes, the big mackerel and the archer fish are with me." Daifeng rubbed his forehead, looking quite troubled, and he usually suffered a lot. He didn't have any plans before, but since he gradually got used to his status as an admiral, especially after the U-boat returned to the garrison, Sugu started to wonder where the beautiful fish was. Not with Washington, not with Colorado, not with Daifeng, it was completely unexpected. He asked, "Why are they with you?" "It's nothing, it's just some mistake." Daifeng said a lot, starting from the first person leaving the town's mansion, to the whole town falling apart. And he and everyone left the townhouse, and then separated again, each going to different places. Sugu said, "Big mackerel and archerfish are American species, right? Historically speaking, the big mackerel is the one that will sink you. Although I don't like American girls, it's just history. We are all sisters in the guardhouse, and the big mackerel is still a little girl." Daifeng said, "I don't hate her, but I feel a little worried every time I see her." "I understand, Royal Oak and U-47." Sugu remembered the first time he saw Royal Oak. The girl had 2 buttons on her shirt collar opened and was lying on the coffee table. Her silky black hair was hanging down, as if she had been insulted. Ichiban. It's so cute, I can only use one word to describe it, I think. There's also Ark Royal and U-81. She will never come within 1 meter of U-81. Daifeng said, "It feels like encountering a natural enemy. A deer encounters a tiger. Even if you have never seen it before, you will feel scared. The fact that you are afraid of the big mackerel is because the ship girl was born from history and memory. Everyone thinks you are afraid, so you are afraid. Everyone is different. Maybe there is a Daifeng who is not afraid of the big mackerel." Sugu said, "Deer and horse will feel scared when encountering tigers. That is because they are afraid in their genes. At first, all those who are not afraid are eaten, and only those who are afraid survive. This is called natural selection. Survival of the fittest." Ruhi was disgusted. "You actually gave a serious explanation and showed off." Sugu just glanced at Ruhi and asked Daifeng, "Why didn't you see them?" Daifeng replied, "They went to school. You gave me a photo to edit, and then she gave it to me. The big mackerel and the archer fish looked at the photo all night. When they knew you were coming, I want to go to the publishing house to guard it the next day. No way. I got up quite late, went to the publishing house, bought snacks, and finally found it. It still took a lot of time in total. At this time, the sun outside the window was bright and it was getting closer to noon. Sugu asked, "Are they coming back for lunch?" "They won't come. They brought lunch boxes to school." Feeling that the whole world lost its color in an instant and turned into black and white, Sugu said, "It's a pity." "Someone can't wait," Ruhi said. Sugu lowered his voice, "Shut up." Lifting high, riding a big horse, and being the biggest cannon in the world. He really knows how to play Ziwa. He recalled what he saw at the governor's mansion. Sugu explained, "It's just that they insist on playing, so I'll accompany them for a while. I'm exhausted every time I play." "What you said is so dirty. The benevolent sees benevolence and the wise see wisdom." Sugu said, "Ruhi, you are quite educated. Don't think about changing the topic." "My Lulakan and girl control Admiral," Ruhi said, "I heard from Zeppelin that someone was in the academy before and saw that Feng Feng was unable to walk. I'm just curious. It's obviously a destroyer, but it feels like she's smaller than a supply ship or a submarine. It's okay to be solid, but she has a weak personality. The Minekaze really makes people feel guilty." Suddenly laughing, Sugu said, "When I was building the CV-16, I really didn't think about building a capital ship. Prince George V, Duke of York, Rome. The same goes for submarines, which are too rare. Come one. The destroyer is ready, the Minekaze 1-star whiteboard ship is not that rare, it's just right." Ruhi said, "You are so embarrassed to say that." Sugu said, "Hypocrite, what a villain, which one do you like?" "I don't like them all," Ruhi said, "if I could only choose one, I'd be a hypocrite. At least he should have some dignity, be restrained, and not go too far. A true villain is genuine, and a shameless person is invincible." Sugu was silent for a moment. "I am a true gentleman." "Shameless Ziwa," he said, "I also heard that someone went to the frontline base and ran to school all day just for you." 1206. Daifeng said, "The Admiral also went to the front line." "I went, for a few Colorados." Sugu said, "You 1206, a toilet fish. It's not that I can't eat the grapes and say the grapes are sour. I really don't like them too much. I like U-156 better, that's a real little angel. Leiko in the Nia incident, he sacrificed himself for others. And U-96, I also like it very much. I just hope that Suk Bader will catch one." Daifeng said, "You really treat me like a fish. Of course the bait must be apples, oranges, or various cans. It is said that U-96 is a foodie. I also have a backup plan. I heard that U-96 admires U-47, the leader of the wolf pack. I have told them that if they meet U-96 in the sea, U-156 is the same. Anyway, no matter what the submarine is, it must be brought back to the garrison. By the way, I have seen Surgeon Fish. She is an American type, so I only count on big mackerel and archerfish." Sugu fell into admiration. Ruhi spread his hands, "It's hopeless." Sugu waved towards Ruhi, meaning you're leaving. He didn't want to see you. He asked Daifeng, "Big mackerel and archerfish, where are they studying?" Daifeng said, "Qingshan district, you have to take a tram there. It's a bit far, so let's wait until they finish class." Sugu felt powerless and his character had been underestimated. "We are not Lolita fans or child girl fans. I am not so anxious to see them. I even went to school specially. I just wanted to ask whether I should go to an ordinary elementary school or a ship. I went to school at the mother headquarters. I went to look for Hood, and the likes of Zeal, Acasta, and Legion went to school at the ship mother headquarters. Zeal and Acasta were in the military police reserve." Ziwa, he said bluntly, Then the military police reserve members have their heads touched and their faces rubbed by you every day. Each one of them is already a living person and cannot be treated like in the game. You can leave them alone regardless of where they are placed. Occasionally, you should get close to them. Sugu said, you mean, you want me to be like before? I'm asking you to behave a little better. I feel like you have been against me all day long. Sugu said, you are not gentle at all and not as good as your sister at all. Xianghe is better. Ruhi picked up his short hair, and Daifeng said, you two have a really good relationship. Don't, Ruhi said, I don't have a good relationship with him. Daifeng smiled a little. She looked around and saw that there was nothing to eat on the table. She said, mackerel and archerfish go to a private elementary school, and the tuition is super expensive every semester, my royalties, ah. Ruhi looked at the empty boxes on the short table, bought so many snacks on purpose, and ate them all in a short time. There was only one person to blame, really, foodie girl Daifeng, with your kind of food fa, aren't you really eating up your royalties? Admiral, Ruhi really needs an education, Daifeng said nonchalantly, it's just some food. How much did it cost? Sugu said seriously, Akagi used to be an instructor at Chuangziu Naval Academy. Her training level can be said to be the first instructor, and her salary is very generous. Then, she ate all her salary and even cheated her out of it. Daifeng retorted, even if I am a foodie, I am not at the level of Akagi-san. At least I won't eat all the ingredients while cooking. You can't compare to Akagi. Chuangziu can hardly find a buffet restaurant. Why? It's because Akagi exists. Well. Actually, we can't just talk about Akagi. Chuangziu has too many big eaters. It's just that she is the most outstanding and typical. Sugu almost rubbed his forehead. There was Akagi, and now there was also Quincy in the guardhouse. The two of them were unconscious, especially Quincy, who could touch off a tomato without staring at her. When he mentioned eating, something suddenly occurred to him. Daifeng saw the grandfather clock placed in the corner, it goes by so fast, it's 1 o'clock. Sugu was silent, Ruhi was silent, Hood paused and said funnily, let's go out to eat. Ramen Ziwa, he said, although I wanted to show off my skills and show you Daifeng, it was too late. When we came over, we saw a ramen shop and it looked good. Daifeng is someone who has been here before. She said, that ramen shop is not delicious, but it is just decorated in a high-end style. I know a shop with a small sign, but it is delicious. Then go there. Daifeng suddenly became shy, actually, my lunch has been prepared in the morning. Ruhi looked at Daifeng steadily, then raised his hand, you can eat. Let's go out to eat. No, Daifeng clapped his hands. He obviously had companions, but if he was alone, he would not have the appetite even for delicacies. Daifeng ran to the kitchen and quickly brought the food box, let's divide it and then go out to eat ramen together. Ruhi took the seaweed rice ball and took a bite, it tastes good. Daifeng, do you still have the skill? Hood ate fried meatballs, Sugu ate a fried ham, and a fried shrimp tempura with ginger and fish cakes. Daifeng said, I didn't do it. Sugu was surprised, big mackerel or archer fish. Are these two little guys so powerful? We have a nanny and a cooking aunt. Sugu said, awesome. The archer fish picked it up, Daifeng said, Shina no.